Oh my gosh. Okay. Coffee, Ashley, and my water is somewhere else. Oh, it's on the other side of the couch. Long time no see. Long time no talk. No talk to camera. Um, that is good. The first sip of coffee is always the best. Oh, I have a new, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there it is. I have a new, I got new mugs for my birthday from my mom. And I have this one, and it has Elphaba on the other side. And then I have a pink one that just says "so popular" on it, which I think is so cute. I haven't filmed a video since before Christmas, and that wasn't intentional. What happened was I was just lazy. I was lazy. Why are my bangs so stupid? This is gonna happen all the time. I'm always gonna talk about my bangs because I hate the way that they swoop. We don't want that. We do not want that. I was just thinking I want to catch up on the books I've read so far this year. I had a lot of videos planned for the beginning of the year, a lot of video ideas, but I've had a rough start to the beginning of the year. And real talk for a sec, mentally it was hard at first. Now I'm doing better, but it comes and goes. I just kind of wanted to talk about the books I've been reading this year so far. I'm gonna use my Goodreads, so I'm gonna keep looking at my phone to do that. BT Dubs, if you want to follow me on Goodreads, I treat it like social media, like my main form of social media. It's not my main form of social media, but I scroll it a lot. I don't know why. I think because it's not, I don't know, it's fun to see what people are reading. It's fun to read reviews. It's fun to browse books, and also it's not I don't know, all that bad news that's happening. Oh, I was going to say, if you follow me on Goodreads, or if you want to, I'll try and have it linked below if I remember. I'm new to this still. What's your reading goal this year? Cuz I met my reading goal last year. I think I read 51 books out of 50, and I did keep changing my goal throughout the year cuz I just wasn't sure if I should set a big goal and then be sad if I didn't reach it. So I did 10 at a time. Um and I wasn't sure if I was going to get to 50 by the end of the year, but I did. I pushed through. It's the last couple of days of the year, and I was finish. My reading goal this year, I did set a bigger goal of 60 books, and I've been a little slacking, kind of. I've just been busy and sad sometimes. I've read 23 of 60, and I'm gonna talk about all the books I read this year so far and give you mini reviews on them. I don't know if you'll care, but I do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Am I missing a book? Hold on. Oh no, more books. Okay. I've read 22 books this year. This one random, it's not even a book, is on my Goodreads, and I can't get it off. I don't know why. Anyway, I've read 22 books this year. Starting off with My Rose, A Forbidden Love Standalone Dark Romance by E.S. Portman. We follow this girl, oh my gosh, Rose. She is in love with her best friend, August, but he does not give her the time of day, and it's really hard for her to see that. It takes her a long time. Honestly, it was kind of hard to read for that reason. I just felt so bad for her. Not hard to read in a way that it wasn't good writing or anything, but just hard because I don't know, I feel we've all been there. And if you haven't, then you're lucky. But to have a friend, what? I'm holding my coffee. I can't do quotes. Have a friend, yeah. Just not even care about you. They just drag you along because they think they're being nice, but really, I don't know. I don't know. Briggs Andrews knew he should have stayed away. He knew the consequences of getting involved, of getting too close to the one person he ruined all those years ago. but staying away from Rose was becoming harder than he thought possible. He never felt worthy of anything until her, never believed he'd want to break down those carefully constructed walls just to be with her. But those walls were crumbling down faster than either anticipated. Love hangs in the balance, muddled between lines that are crossed and secrets that have begun to unravel, bringing change neither could have envisioned. Oh my god, can I even talk? Bringing change that neither of them could have envisioned. It was kind of a fast read for me. I did give it 3.5 stars. I'll read my review. 4 out of 5 on the spicy train. I don't know if technically like I think it's a 4 out of 5 on a spicy train. I was thinking more like it's a 4 out of 5 for other people if they want to read it. You know, I'll like read anything, like I don't care. I think I give like what I think other people will think it is, because I'm just not normal and I'm crazy. I said that I enjoyed the story of Rose and Briggs. I have a little note here that I absolutely love the name Briggs. I don't know why. I was intrigued from the first chapter. I probably would have read it sooner, finished it sooner if I had more time. I really liked that the characters had a lot of depth. It kept me guessing and intrigued until the very end. And I had my suspicions, right? Because like you always do with a little like mystery book, but it just left me guessing, and I really like that. Am I talking too loud? Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm using my new mics that I got for Christmas because I'm in the living room and filming my there's like, I swear, I don't know. Anyway, I'm in the living room and the turtle tank is kind of loud, so I'm trying to like filter out that noise, and my big mic doesn't really do that as well. I did say that the romance between the two main characters, it felt mostly believable, but it is kind of like a mafia dark romance, billionaire type of thing, and I don't personally like mafia or billionaire romances that much. It's because I don't know. They just don't I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a reason why, but I just don't know. They kind of give me the ick sometimes, which is probably why I gave this a 3.5, honestly, and not higher. I think I don't like them as much because they're not as believable to me. And I know that a book doesn't have to be like believable, but it kind of just takes me out of the story a lot and the romance. Like, I don't know. I got a little annoyed by how often Briggs said baby. I don't know. I just don't like that name. Like, I don't like that pet name. It just feels, that also gives me the ick, you know? I don't know. So that's a me thing. Overall, I really enjoyed the book and it was easy to read and I was very much consumed by it. It was worth the read and I do recommend. There are some like dark themes in this book, like domestic violence. Overall, I really liked it. I do think that it is a good read. That was my first book this year to read. After that, I read Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I didn't not like it. I was recommended it by a friend, actually two friends. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's so the premise of the book is it's another dark romance, by the way. It's about this girl named Alyssa and she is like into some stuff, and then some stalking happens with this guy and she like gets freaked out, and then basically they fall in love. But it is a dark romance. But anyway, I gave it 3 stars. I said it was pretty fun to read. I do remember laughing out loud at a couple of parts in this book. I do find it hard to actually find books or like something's funny enough to laugh out loud from, especially while reading. The book focused more on the physical relationship between the main characters than it did the story and plot. So like, I don't know, that was really lacking for me. Like I didn't really know why I was reading the story other than the characters were messing around. Because of that, I said It didn't feel much like a dark romance. I said Josh, the MMC, he was all golden retriever and no black soul. That's what I said. Which is fine if it's not supposed to be a dark romance. You know? I stand by that. And Allie, the FMC, aka Alyssa, was actually getting on my nerves so easily, and I couldn't figure out why. Yeah, I remember that. Like, the first half of the book was much better than the second half because the dynamic and relationship between the two main characters was actually interesting. Like, I remember that there was like a little mystery there for Allie to solve as to who is stalking her. And that was like fun. Um, Meanwhile, she's actually talking to her stalker, and like, I don't know. It was really cool, but I liked that a lot. But all of a sudden it got really repetitive and boring, and I had a hard time focusing, which is true. I also think it dragged out a little too long. And lastly, the love between the two main characters just felt non-existent. And I was questioning ever since they got together if the love was in the room with us. Was the love in the room with us, guys? Like, if you read this book, like, tell me. Like, what do you think? Both of my friends that read this book gave it 5 stars, so I do feel bad giving it 3. It just didn't feel realistic to me, and it felt a little cringe. It was still fun though, and I did enjoy the banter. Like, the banter was really funny. I think I'll probably read the next book when it comes out, just because I hope the banter is like that too, you know? And it was like easy. It was easy, even though it did get a little repetitive. My coffee is so good. Sometimes I wish I could have 2 cups of coffee, but I know I would literally like die. Third book, The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I read the whole series. So the first one I said I gave it 4 stars. And if you don't know what that book is about, it's kind of like it follows this housemaid.
Whoa, nah, I never knew that.
And she tries to get like a job as a nanny, basically, or a housemaid. She just has like weird things keep following her. Like, she's got like really bad luck, you know what I'm saying? She's got a really dark past and she's trying to hide that. And she finds this family that hires her, and at first they're really great, especially the wife. Like, the wife like loves her. She's excited to start working for them, but then the wife gets kind of like weird, like really weird. Like, she keeps like anytime who is our main character in this book? Why am I thinking Shelly? It's not Shelly. I like don't remember her name. I literally don't remember her name. So what was I saying? She'll clean the house and she'll get like everything perfect. She like picks their daughter up from school, and then the wife will just like wreck everything, like in a matter of minutes or hours, and like the entire house will be trashed. Then she starts blaming it on the housemaid. Why can I not remember her name? This is gonna really bother me. Anyway, she starts blaming it on her, which is causing a lot of problems, and she's afraid that she's gonna lose her job. Yada yada yada. And then she ends up kind of getting a crush on her boss's husband. So, and then we follow them through that relationship. It's twisty. It was a thriller. It was fine. I did give it 4 stars. I said it's not bad. It was a little predictable, but then it did have me questioning at other times. And I said it was fast paced enough to keep my attention, which is perfect for a thriller for me. So, and I read the second one, which is The Housemaid's Secret, and I gave it 3.4 stars. That's so specific. So basically, this book is the same as the first book. She just goes on to a different family, considering what happens in the last book. But basically, the same story, just a different family, different setting. My review says my first thought, broccoli. My other thoughts, this was still entertaining but wildly predictable. I'm pretty sure I read some of the same exact sentences that I read in the previous book. Facts. However, it was still a quick read and very fast paced, perfect for a snow day. So I did read it in a snow day. I read it in a snow day. I read it on a snow day. I think I read like all these books in one day because they were pretty fast and they're kind of short. So after that, I did read The Housemaid's Wedding, which is the novella. This book, I didn't even like really leave a review. I gave it 3 stars, It does feel a little unnecessary, though it does bridge a gap between the second book and the third book that happens, because there is like a big time gap. Um, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best. It was just meh. And I read it just to complete the series, essentially. And then I did read The Housemaid is Watching. This I gave 3.5 stars. And my review, well, okay. I did say that the story is a little unbelievable, just because of like everything that happens. Again, it's literally like the first two books. I don't know. It's like if you read the first book, you read the second and third book. You know? Anyway, whatever. I gave it 3.5 and I said it's not bad, a little unbelievable, which kind of took me out of the story towards the end. But I did like the ending. My only problem is I can't really remember it. All right. Then I read Rhapsodic, which is the Bargainer series, number 1 in the Bargainer series, by Laura Thalassa. I was excited to read this book, but I did not like it. And I do have the rest of the series, and I don't know if I will continue reading it, but this one was just not it for me. It is like a fantasy book, and I have a notification on Goodreads. Nice. It's about a siren and this like god demon thing. I don't know. We call him the Bargainer, and she makes a deal with him in her past. And like, you never want to make a deal with the Bargainer, but because he comes back, like he'll give you what you want, but he comes back to take something from you. Like you owe him if he gives you if he does a favor for you. Essentially, he gives our FMC, her name is Callie, a bracelet when she makes this deal with him, and every time she makes a deal with him, he adds a black bead to the bracelet, so she's always wearing this bracelet. And essentially all of those beads are her IOUs to him. Only death or repayment to his favors will fulfill her obligations. And everything has a price kind of story. For Callie, like he's never asked for repayment until this one day. He just like comes back years later and he makes a like he asks for repayment, and she's like, whoa, 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 I kind of don't wanna. And he's like, you gotta. And so she's like, cool. There's some other things happening in like what they call the other world. Fae warriors are going missing one by one, and only the women are returned, each in a glass casket, a child clutched to her breast. For the Bargainer to save his people, he'll need the help of the siren he spared long ago, if she can forgive him. So I really thought that I was gonna like this, but I just kind of didn't. You know, it sounds like up my alley, but I gave it 2 stars. And my review is not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it just didn't do it for me. The story was interesting, the world was cool, the magic was intriguing, but I just did not feel the connection between the two main characters, which was a real letdown for me. Like, for some reason, I mean, okay, so it is like a romantasy series, and we're supposed to really like the two main characters together, I think, but I just don't. Like, they just feel fake to me, you know? Oh, there it is. I see. Okay. They just feel fake to me. My next book was The Ministry of Time by Callian Bradley. Is that how I say it? This is a time travel romance, a spy thriller, a workplace comedy, and an ingenuous exploration of the nature of power and potential for love to change it all. Essentially, we follow our main character, whose name I also forget, but we follow her. She's working for the Ministry of Time as a what they call a bridge, which is just like a person that works with people from the past. I don't really know how to explain it. Anyway, so she gets stuck living with this like expat, they call him. And he's a guy that when did he died so his name is Commander Graham Gore, and he died in 1845, and this is set in like the near future, like not present day, but like close. And so she has to live with him for her job, and they end up like falling in love or something. But I mean, stuff happens, but like also I was zoning out like so much in this book. It was so boring to me, and I really wanted to like it. Um, I just couldn't. I just couldn't. Like, I was excited to read it too. I've heard such good things. But like, I just don't really know what the point of the story was. I just don't get it. I don't know. And I'm not going to like hate on it or anything. I wanted to like it. I just didn't. I wanted to DNF it, but I have a really hard time doing that. My review was 2 stars, and I said it was hard to get through. I had high hopes, but I just couldn't get into it. The ending was intriguing. It was, but I just wish there would have been either been less words or more things happening, which, yeah, I remember. There were so many words for almost nothing being said. It was hard for me. I don't know. My next book was The Midnight Library. Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I read it for book club months and months and months late. It's about this girl who is named Nora, and she ends up in like this what they call a midnight library, and she has a chance to basically how she ends up there is she is stuck between, it's kind of like purgatory, she's stuck between life and death. Then she has to choose if she wants to change her life. Anyway, in the midnight library there are like a crap ton of books that like lead to, they're about a different part in your life, and like even the small things that seem insignificant, um it's kind of like, you know, if you change one insignificant thing that you think is insignificant, it like has an impact on your life in much greater ways. She basically like can redo all of her regrets if she wants to. Why am I not holding it in this hand the whole time? So I can drink my coffee with this hand. Yeah. I don't know. She just lives all of her regrets over and does them differently and tries to decide if that's the best way to live. Like, or her past life was. I don't know. It was good. I liked it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Wow, that made me do some thinking, which it did. It really did. I do recommend. I do recommend that book if after that I read Unsteady, which is number 1 in the Undone series, by Peyton Corinne. I read it with a friend. Honestly, we both kind of had the same reaction to it. It's like an ice skater hockey, right? Yeah. We follow Sadie and Reese. And Sadie is the figure skater and Reese is the hockey player. And basically, Sadie has like younger siblings and their life at home isn't good. So she wants to get custody of her younger siblings. I think she's in college, so she can do that. And so she's battling that and trying to like do her dream of skating and like, you know, life. She ends up meeting Reese, and he's got some weird things in his past, like dark stuff, and he's got to get through. And they end up falling in love, and then there's an HEA at the end. You know, it was like fine. That's my actual review. It was fine. I gave it 2.75 stars. After that, so I've been reading a collection of Edgar Allan Poe's uh like short works. And so I did read The Fall of the House of Usher. I gave it 4 stars. It was decent. It was strange and intriguing, and basically it is about an unnamed character who receives a letter from an old friend, and he wants to like urgently come visit him, and like crazy things happen, the Usher family, and weird things happen, yada yada yada. I don't know. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was good writing, and that's that. You know, didn't really have a lot of thoughts. I'm not like a horror person. I just wanted to read some of his works, so I'm doing that. I read another one too, and it's up in my list a little bit further. My next book that I read was Fury Song by Rosaria Munda, which is the Aurelian Cycle number 3. This book, I think about it almost every single day. Like, I loved it so much. I do kind of want to do like a little review on it. Ethan is reading the series and he's loving it so far. Um, so I do want to, side note, I did film a video with him for Throne of Glass, like our review, and I didn't like it, so I deleted all the footage, which is why I haven't done a video in a long time, you know? That was a really long video that we filmed, so I want to do it differently, so I want to restart it. But it's like the Fireborn trilogy, and I recommended it to two other friends of mine, and they also loved it. Um, and I just like can't stop thinking about it. You know, I think that it needs a whole video. Like that series needs a whole video on its own. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. It has some of my favorite characters. Um, it's the third book in that series, so I'm not really gonna say anything about it. But I did give it 5 stars, though I did add it to my 6-star reads list. And my review says, "This is how you end a series. This book tore me apart. I cannot stop crying. I will think about this series for a long time. Easily the best series I have ever read. The books just kept getting better and better." So true. Side note. Each one written beautifully. Outstanding. The world building, the character development, the history and political environment, all of it was seamlessly woven together to make my absolute favorite characters I've come to know. I'm broken. What else do you want from me? Like, I think about this and I cry. It was so good. It was so good. Everything about it was perfect to me. It was so sad. Beautiful. Beautiful work. Then I read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan, about these two friends who grow up together because their moms are best friends and they like live next door to each other their whole lives. And then they eventually like grow apart. And so they went from being really close to each other to being not friends really at all. Um, and then they end up getting close again for some reason, and they kind of become friends. They admit things to each other, like their feelings of the past and, you know, things that happened and how they wish things would have happened. And essentially, um, it's really sad. It's really sad. So I gave it 4 stars and I said my heart hurts, but I also feel healed, question mark. That's really all I can say, you know? I want to read the second one, which is If I Had Told Her. Is that true? Is that the name of it? Oh, If Only I Had Told Her. Yeah. I do want to read that one, but I heard that it's not that great. But I do want to read it. I actually did start reading this book in like high school because it came out like a long time ago. Yeah, like 2013. So I did start reading it like a long time ago, and I never finished it. But I'm glad that I decided to pick it up again. Um, I think if I would have read it in high school, I would have been torn apart. Then I read. It's not a book, but it is a short story by Abby Jimenez, The Fall Risk, and it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. So it's about these two characters, and they're like neighbors in an apartment building, and they end up being stuck in their apartment building for a weekend. I think it's just a weekend. And they like can't go anywhere, so they don't know each other prior to this. But they end up becoming friends, and then, you know, love. So it was actually a pretty good short story, like for a short story, but I did say this was a short story and yet I still feel like it was too long. So, true. 3 stars. My next book was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This was a good book. Like, I like a thriller. I find thrillers and mysteries like easy reads for me. This is about, I didn't even drink this. It's about this girl, Lucy, who was best friends with a girl. I forget her name. Oh, Savannah. They lived in a small town in Texas. They were best friends, and they ended up going to a wedding together one night. And this is in the past. They ended up going to a wedding together one night. The next thing you know, Savvy is dead, and somebody finds Lucy muddy, walking in her dress on the side of the road and doesn't know what happened. And so she cannot remember a dang thing about what happened, but everyone in town thinks, and like the world kind of, because it became a cold case, but everyone in town really just thinks that she killed Savvy, her best friend, because she was jealous of her, because Savvy had a lot of friends. Savvy was like really extroverted and Lucy wasn't. And everyone has bad things to say about Lucy from like the time she's a child to being an adult. But everyone raves about Savvy and they love her and they're like, nothing is bad about Savvy. Nothing was ever bad. So I can see why Lucy would kill her because she was so jealous of her. But anyway, there is a guy who I think he's from LA or something. Yeah. I don't know. Lucy ended up leaving her small town in Texas. She moved to LA. Then there's a guy who's on this podcast and he decides to like, well, he starts, it's his own podcast. He's not on a podcast. He starts his own podcast and he like does he like reviews cold case files or cold cases. And this one has always intrigued him, so he decided, like the case of like Savvy, so he decided to start a podcast on it, and he wanted to figure out really what happened, or like if he can get any more new details on the story. So eventually he goes to Lucy's small town in Texas, and she also is there at the time, and they meet up and they decide to do the podcast together, and he helps her try and remember the past events that happened leading up to Savvy's death and like that night. Eventually she does remember and we do find out what happened, and that's that. And yeah, it was good. I liked how it was told through like a podcast style. It goes back and forth between like podcast and like life events, whatever is happening like right now. I gave it 3 stars, and I said the idea was interesting but the execution was lacking. I guess the twist like halfway through the book, and so I wasn't surprised or shocked. I didn't really care for all of the relationships in this book, which is true. I don't understand why everyone was always kissing everyone. Literally, why they were everyone in the book was kissing each other, and it was so weird. I was like, what is happening? And they didn't even like make sense. Anyway, all the timing was off and the vibes were weird, mid, but still kept me interested enough to get me back into reading after a small hiatus, which I did have a small hiatus. So I think that the premise of the book, like the podcasting, was done better in None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and which I think I read last year, and then another book that I read this year so far that I haven't gotten to yet, but I'll talk about it in a minute. Then I read 1984 by George Orwell. 5 stars. If you don't know what that's about, it is a classic, and it's basically about like Big Brothers watching. If you've ever heard that saying, but it's about a government taking over like a regime, and like you can't, like they control everything you do. So even like your thoughts, and if you're ever like disobeying what Big Brother, who's like the ruler, the king, whatever, president, I don't know, says, like then you are taken away and never seen again. So like they get you for thinking. So like there's a thing called the thought police, and like I don't know, it's really really good. It has a lot of social constructs in it. It's really political, and I love that. I love politics. So fitting for what we've got going on right now. You follow, by the way, nobody has ever seen Big Brother, so that's cool. But he's got eyes everywhere. Like that's why he's watching. They like he knows everything you do. So anyway, it follows these two characters that end up trying to leave, basically, and they get caught. Kind of. Well, yeah, they do. They get caught, and then you find out what happens. But yeah, they like control everything. They even try to rewrite history, and it's hard because our main character like knows things from before Big Brother took over, and he's not allowed to know those things. So like they do a lot of brainwashing in the society. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Okay. For my review, 5 stars, and it's terrifying. That's what I said. 5 stars. After that, I read The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. It was good. I gave it 3 stars. Basically, this couple has like a lot of animals and they love pets, and they end up getting a black cat, and the owner gets kind of crazy. The cat gets kind of crazy. I don't know. It was good. I liked it. I'm just reading it for fun. 3 stars. Then I read The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, and I had read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife last year, also by her, and I really liked it. So I don't know. I found this book for cheap and I got it and I read it. It's about a cult, essentially. Like, it's about this girl. She went to college. She ended up meeting her best friend, and then they have some other friends, and then they meet this one friend who has a dad, and like that was weird. Yeah. Anyway, they like go over to her house one day, and then we find out like her dad is like really nice to them, and then which we don't think is actually her dad, but that's a different story. He's really nice to them. He takes them out to dinner a lot, and he just like treats them really well. And then we end up learning that he's like the leader of a cult, and he like tries to women he's a cult of women. Like he collects women and has them do things for him. And it's like really weird. Like they have to like follow a lot of rules. They have to wear certain clothing, think Amish, and I don't know, they can't talk like certain ways or whatever. They have to wear their hair certain ways. So like he's charming at first, and then when he like gets them, then he like changes, and then they're already like controlled by him essentially, because they've got nowhere to go and they've got no money, and like he destroys them from like, you know. Anyway, that sounded weird. He just like dismantles their lives until they don't have anywhere else to go or like anything to do or people to reach out to. Anyway, essentially people go missing, and one of the girls that is friends with our main character, who's our main character? I think her name is Shay. One of her friends, in like when they're in the cult all together, ends up dying, and it was made to look like she did it herself, but Shay questioned a lot, and so she thought that somebody had done this to her friend, but she had no proof and she couldn't do anything, because if she tried to speak out against the cult leader, then she could be next. So she was, freaking out. Anyway, basically, she ends up going back to the place like where she ended up meeting her friends, like her college town or whatever, in New York, and goes onto this podcast. And she tries to. So one of her other friends in that same cult has gone missing. One of the other friends from like her group has also gone missing, and well, not missing, has like been, and it also looked like she did it herself, but Shay's like, I don't think so. I'm gonna like question this. So she ends up getting like a podcaster in New York to help her unravel some things, like ties that she sees floating around. And essentially she figures it out. She figures out what happened. And we just like kind of go through her life as a college student in the past and whatnot. I don't know if any of this is making sense. Anyway, I gave it 3 stars, and I said that this book was interesting, and I think it did the podcasting aspect better than Listen for the Lie, which, yeah, I do agree. I just liked the dialogue better. However, although I was interested the entire time, I still found myself being pulled out of the story sometimes because of how nonchalant and unrealistic some of the characters were. Facts. I will say I wasn't really expecting that little twist at the end, and so that made it better for me. All in all, I have questions after finishing this book, but also they don't really matter, so I guess it's fine. Then I read The Kind Worth Killing, and I read the entire series. So it's the Henry Kimball, Lily Kittner series, I guess, by Peter Swanson. It was it was really cool. Basically, these two strangers meet on a plane. Maybe they meet in the airport. I think they meet in the airport, and then they end up sitting next to each other on a plane. And they just talk. They just talk, and they end up telling each other about their lives, like in like great detail. Until the guy, so it's a guy and a man and a woman. Ted ends up saying to the woman, which what's her name? Mm-mm. Oh, Lily. Why did anyway? Ted ends up telling Lily that he just like well, he found out that his wife is cheating on him with their contractor, and he just wants to her. And Lily's like, sometimes people are the kind of people worth killing. And um, Ted's like, dang, that was insightful. That's cool. And Lily was like, yeah, if you want help, like, I'll help you. And he was like, whoa, let's do it. And so they end up like conniving together. But stuff happens, and I'm not going to give any more information away. But anyway, so I read that entire series. And for The Kind Worth Killing, book number 1, I did give it 5 stars. I said, this book literally took me for a twisty ride that I thought I saw coming, but actually I was blind. Facts. After that is The Kind Worth Saving. Also, it's number 2 by Peter Swanson. And so in the first book, there's a private investigator who's investigating Lily, essentially. And he kind of connects things from her past and like the present, and so he wants to investigate her even though she's pretty innocent in things that have happened in the past book, or she seems innocent. He keeps digging, so he ends up like following her a lot. And so in the second book, he's on her tail, and he was a professor and now he's an investigator. He's a private investigator. This old like student of his asked him to investigate someone for her, her husband actually. And he ends up finding bodies in the anyway, he ends up like finding people that have been unalived and somehow like connecting it back to, it's just another story. It's just another mystery. I gave it 4 stars, and I said not as mind-blowing as the first one, but still incredibly good. And it was. I do think it is worth a read. And then the third book is called A Talent for Murder. Basically, this newlywed couple, the wife suspects her husband of like schmurder, and because he goes on like business trips, like conferences and stuff, and tragedy is always there. Like someone is always when he's somewhere, and he goes like all over the world. And there's always something that happens, and it's always like in the same hotel and like the same place at the same time that he's there. And so she thinks that he's a murderer, and she hires she doesn't really hire Lily, but her and Lily are friends from like the past. And so she gets Lily from our first and second book and tries to figure out together like what's going on, who then gets the previous like the private investigator involved, Henry Kimball, which is the name. We find out a lot of things. I did give it 3.5 stars, and I said, but the ending was pretty good. And so it was. And lastly, my last book, my stomach. Oh my gosh, I wonder if you can hear that. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, which is Part of Your World number 2. Last year I read Part of Your World and I didn't really like it. I decided to like take a break, and I don't know, something about it was just cheesy to me. It was kind of boring. It was like very predictable. And I just kind of don't like those kinds of romances. This follows a friend of Alexis from the first book, and a guy that, you know, they end up falling in love, whatever. And so my review says, kind of gave it spoilers, so I'm not going to really try and say those. So hold on. I gave it 3 stars, and I said I did like it better than Part of Your World, but it still lacked a lot. First of all, the characters need therapy, and they felt only semi three-dimensional and only in parts of the book. I did like the first half better than the second half. The book felt rushed, and it felt like there were tropes just put in there for the sake of having more tropes. Like, yeah, and they weren't done that great for me. They just felt like they were just put there just because they could be. I did like that it took about 80% of the book for the 2 main characters to finally like get together. But I didn't like how the miscommunication trope worked out. It could have been done better. I said I hate how Brie went from being a total BA to being sappily in love with a man she hated, apparently, quotes, sappily in love with a man she hated for 2 sentences 2 pages before. Like, she literally hated him 2 pages before. And then she's sappily in love with him, like, 2 pages later. Like, that's so weird. She seemed too dependent on Jake way too fast, and I just don't think it made sense for her. And all in all, it was fine, but I'm not impressed, and I was really hoping to love this one because everyone told me I would. I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky. I can see why people really liked it. It's sweet, you know? I understand that this was like probably a boring video and maybe really dumb. I like want to tell people about what I'm reading. Can I set this down, you think? If I put it there, will it still... Oh my gosh. Why was I holding it the entire time? Oh my gosh, I'm cold. Cold. And my coffee is cold still. Well, it's like semi-warm. Those are the books I read. Right now I'm kind of like in a slump. Right now I'm reading, what am I reading? I'm reading Onyx Storm, which I can't seem to get through. I'm like 80% done, and I'm already, like, I have been over it since like the 20% mark. Unpopular opinion, I know, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm reading How to End a Love Story by, I forget who. So far it's like fine. Like, is that all I'm reading right now? Oh no, I'm reading When the Moon Hatched with my friend. Well, I'm reading it to give to my, anyway. All seriousness though, if you like friends that read books, please follow me on Goodreads. I love following people on Goodreads. I love to see what people are reading and how they like books and how we're all different, you know? Try and like update my Instagram more, my Bookstagram. It's just been really hard. My birthday was last month and I got so many books for my birthday. I should do a little video about all the books I got because I can't even remember. I must have gotten at least 35. That's so many. Oh my gosh. Follow me if you want to. Don't. Subscribe if you want to. If you like chatting about books, drinking coffee, and you like unsolicited reviews of things you didn't ask for. And I'm gonna go make tacos now because I have to start my tacos for dinner. Okay, my chicken. I'm gonna make chicken tacos for dinner, and I gotta start my chicken. So it's kind of getting late. Anyway, bye.